Alright, welcome to the defense replays for this week of Anima season. We're gonna go right into the mix here. I don't think I'm gonna go over all of them. A lot of these are the same, and these first couple replays don't have Bird Girl. Man, Bird Girl, yeah, she's not on the defense for these first couple ones. I didn't get her, or I hadn't gotten her yet, so that's the reason for that. Well, actually, no, lie. I had her, but I hadn't leveled her up yet. So that's why she wasn't included, and I was trying to figure out how best to integrate her into this particular defensive build, or whether or not I need to just build something new from scratch. Ultimately, I ended up deciding with keeping the basic framework for this defense and swapping her in for Athos. So basically this week I went without cancel control, which I just couldn't find a spot to fit it in. It was just too difficult to put cancel control into this particular defensive build here, and you're seeing how a few of the first matches went a lot of difficulty initiating on this particular defense. Most people decide to either try to tank it or break the structures and find a way in on the unit that's exposed and not covered, or can potentially be exposed to Elm. Elm is I think the best Astra Mythic currently in the game, in my opinion. Well, I guess he's the newest one, so it would be hard to argue that an older Astra Mythic would be better than him, even though I'd probably have Thor very high up on that ranking, because I use her quite regularly alongside with Plumeria. I think Plumeria is still very, very good. But yeah, Elm is miles ahead of all the other Astra Mythics because of Feud. It's just that. It's really, really, really good. And the fact that he can do it in the middle of the turn is, you can't really stop that. It's really strong. And as you can see here, that's the play that a lot of these opponents utilized for some of the earlier matches, especially even some of the matches that I lost as well. But as you'll see, there just isn't quite enough space for them to escape the threat range of my defense here. It goes pretty far, which is a good thing. And it not only does it go very far, but it interacts in ways that are just so unpredictable. I love it. And that's really the reason that I kept this particular defensive build, is that it's just so hard to figure out who was going to go where as an opponent. And even I have a hard time predicting exactly what's going to happen. It does still have its weaknesses, because there are ways to beat it, of course. Typically, a lot of the units here are speed checks. At least for the main threats, they're speed checks. So if you can win the speed check, you're probably going to be able to beat this defense. But some of the opponents weren't able to realize that. And then also, what was I going to say? Neathholger is the other primary threat on this defense as well. So you have the two speedy units, Marth and Erica, and then alongside Neathholger to basically cover the combination. Although I don't think I have enough coverage here. I mean, I do have red, green, blue, but in terms of like mobile offensive threats, they're both red, and that's probably not the best thing in the world. We have a Lin team here sniping my Erica, which, like I said, is the primary threat of my defense. So if you're able to take out Erica, you're probably going to be able to win, but they failed to do that. And then we saw the safety fence breaker do her job, which is, that's exactly why she's included here. It was so 50-50. Like, it was a really close decision for... Oh, I love that warp right there. That is so good. Yeah, it was such a close decision for me whether or not I should exclude counter control for the ability to break the safety fence. I could not decide which one of those two effects I valued more. So I decided to just give it a shot this week and see what the potential outcome was. Here we go there. Safety fence breaker with the Micaiah ring, allowing her to, do some shenanigans, move about. Really helpful. It did actually play out quite well, letting her have that particular ring for this season. And I think just overall, the Micaiah ring is really strong. I think I'm gonna, even if I were to take it off her, I'd probably still at least give it to Athos or something. Just the ability to move and then act again, very, very powerful. Which is essentially what you get from Ather, and it's just, you don't get the flat damage reduction, and she's further away from Ather, and so it gives me more positional flexibility with some of the units on defense. But yeah, like I was saying, I really was 50-50 in terms of whether or not to keep Kanto control or to bring safety fence breaker into the team. That decision would have basically determined whether or not I would have brought Athos, because that's essentially the role that she took over to be able to be on the team. So pros were the fact that she was a bonus unit for this week, so it means that at least this month, which means that I would lose less lift or less points. I think that's easier for me to say. The LLs are kind of twisting my tongue. Yeah, I'd lose less points if I were to lose a match. So there's a huge benefit to bringing her based off of that alone. But then also, I really would like to see her interactions and how it works together and how people play into her being on the team. So, there are definitely positives or pros to bringing her into the defensive build here, but I don't know in terms of longevity if she is exactly what I'm looking for, because her firepower is very lacking. I would pretty much class her somewhere around Thracier, Mythic Thracier level, and we don't even use Mythic Thracier. I think in terms of firepower, Athos is far more powerful. He does way more damage. I don't know what they needed to make her weapon way better. I think maybe CYL, I'm thinking maybe there'll be a bow unit, but maybe Sharena as a bow unit, because there needs to be some type of inheritable skill that makes her hit way harder. She is really, really missing some firepower. I contemplated giving her Assassin Strike, but I don't know, the fodder there feels wasted on a unit that is a defense mythic that I don't even really use and doesn't live counterattacks. So I don't know, it didn't feel like the right decision there, but they really should have beefed up her weapon a bit more. She still fails to take out Neathogre, who is like her counterpart on offense, whereas Athos is able to do it consistently if he has the right support. And I'm not referring to Black Knight. Athos can take out Neathogre without Black Knight support. So the fact that this safety fence breaker is unable to really take out Neathogre, big minus in her favor. Big minus there. So yeah, you're not getting a lot of killing power with her. If it's against a save unit, she's not going to win any speed checks. So really, you're just looking for her to be able to snipe someone who is exposed, not covered by save, which is kind of a good counterpart or a good reason to give her the Micaiah ring, to give her the mobility to then, take someone out that is exposed. So it just made sense to put those two things together. Micaiah on defense, Attune Micaiah, I still think she's the best. And she's still very, very useful, being there, adding debuffs as well as cleansing in a combined role, which was another negative to safety fence breaker, because Micaiah kind of already does her job with the cleansing stuff, and then also on top of it inflicts penalties as well. So Micaiah is already filling that that role, and then Freyr also does the same thing. So yeah, just again, not a lot of positives to bringing this unit onto defense. To have her around, I really don't think she's going to have a lot of longevity unless we stop using Freyr completely, but I don't see that happening. So I don't know, maybe there's going to be some more mid-turn effects like what Elm does, like what we got recently with Veronica. Interestingly though, you know, just to go into Veronica a bit, and here's my extra slot unit failing to contribute anything to the team. It was really difficult to fit a unit into that position because it cannot be an infantry unit, because the majority of them are going to die. Can't be a cav because range extension, and it can't be a ranged nuke because they all die. They're pretty much all useless in some capacity. So that leaves you with the second or first, I don't know, depending on, you know, who you're comparing them with, bulkiest unit class in the game, and that's armors. So in terms of which armors are you going to put in that position, you're looking at Black Knight, Ollier, and I think that's pretty much the list. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I can't really think of who else you'd put there. Maybe Rhea, but you kind of want Rhea's effects earlier on in the game, so I wouldn't really put Rhea there. And then also Medius is a good pick as well, just to counter that turn 3 bolt tower. I think Medius would work there as well in that particular position. Some arguments could probably be made for Ather, if you could figure out a way to make her tanky enough. And I'm referring to the Summer Ather, if you have her like highly invested, that's also a spot that she could fill. Desert Ike as well, I think, is a good pick, because he goes zoom, he really fast. He goes zoom, very difficult to outspeed Desert Ike, but he doesn't really offer a lot in the player phase compared to like a Lear or Black Knight. Typically whenever you're putting there, you kind of want to make them mobile, so you're looking at like Erica Ring or +1 movement Sigurd Ring, something like that. But yeah, just not a lot of options for that particular spot for the extra slot on defense that you do get, which I guess is a positive with Safety Fence Breaker. You do get that extra slot on your defense with her being there, so just another reason to use her. But then also you already get that with Athos, so maybe not the most inspiring thing in the world. Yeah, so yeah, this is what we're looking at as someone who didn't want to surrender. I mean, they did play fairly well, but you know, a unit was sniped, so really no reason to continue. If it were me, I would have given up a long time ago. But it's hard to say how their week is going. So I think this is like middle of the week that we took this loss. That I took this loss here. We didn't really take a lot of loss. I think it was like two or so losses, maybe 3 losses in total, which is very good for a defense that is about a month old, I want to say. I built it around the time that Marth came out. Did Marth come out last month or the month in June, maybe? I think Marth came out in June, so yeah, there you go. Still holding up very well, especially with the new edition. Yeah, doing fairly well. I'm considering changing out Erica. Don't know why. I'm just thinking of swapping her out for someone different, but I don't know. Let's see what CYL has in store. Maybe someone there catches my eye, and you know, maybe they can outperform Emblem Erica, which I don't see how you do it. Because as I was saying, it is a speed-based defense. So if you're fast enough, you can definitely take this on without any problems. But most people, you know, overlook that particular fact. Here's a full loss, a couple more replays to go through before we get to the end of it. Some of these I haven't seen yet, like this full loss in particular. But yeah, I think I was going over the Veronica. Yeah, the tea time Veronica. I am woefully disappointed. I am so disappointed in that unit. There was a lot of promise, but she has not delivered, unfortunately. She is not doing the job that I would have liked for her to do, which is to assist with dealing with Black Knight teams, or at least be a counterpart to Nyx. She is incredibly tanky, this Veronica. Very, very tanky, but in the current state of the game, she's just hitting zeros, man. Like, zeros all around, and I'm not talking about like her attacking into armored units. Like, she's attacking into like Marth and doing 0 damage as well, which is kind of sad for a unit that just came out and has all of the effects that she has. I was trying to figure out if it was really just down to the Divine Nectar and the additional buffs from like Reflex and stuff, but I don't know, man. She's just not hitting hard enough, which doesn't bode well for her, like I said, being a colorless nuke. Colorless nukes do not age well in the slightest. There have been so many of them, and they've all fallen off within like 2 months, unless you heavily invest into them. I think the last really good one that we had was that Tea Time Lysithia, because she had that sabotage, and it was just so difficult to outspeed her. Yeah, she just did a ton of damage. And then, you know, recently, I mean, even with Summer Celica, not the hardest, not the heaviest hitter in terms of a unit that's in colorless again. So yeah, I was really just looking for more damage out of this Veronica, and I really thought she would have it because a lot of it is scaling off her attack, but a lot of zeros, man. I'm telling you, a lot of zeros, and a lot of times she was just dying to Black Knight, still dying to Black Knight, still dying to Marth on top of it. So I don't know. I was really looking forward to her being good, but it just disappointed. Same to be said about Felix, that Tea Time Felix, not cutting it either. I don't know what his role is supposed to be. I don't even use regular Felix for Gale Force anymore, so if his Tea Time version is supposed to be another iteration of that, that's not good enough. I at least wanted him to be able to survive against Black Knight, but he dies as well. He dies so often. It's so annoying, man. It's so annoying. Need way more units to be able to help us out with the Black Knight problem that we're currently facing. Nyx still the strongest contender, although I do have difficulty with the Erica Ring Black Knight problem. I know that's still going on, but I mean, I've seen some builds that are able to counter that. I just don't want to invest into them because it's a whole team composition, and you're probably not going to be able to run that and, you know, actually take out a defense, because very specific team slots. So it's not the most concrete thing in the world. But yeah, maybe I should have sparked the harmonic unit. I don't know, maybe I'll go back and try to get, but it's just reflex damage, and we already have that with Black Knight, you know. Do we really need another option? I mean, ranged cav, rally, extra action. Although harmonic, it could help me with resonance battles, but the mobility is good, but I don't really think I'm going to summon specifically for that game mode. But yeah, man, it was just disappointing to realize that she just didn't get the job done. Veronica, I'm referring to. I'll probably, you know, try some more, see how I can increase her damage output. I'd probably say very similar to Lucina, but then Lucina I can actually, like Ninja Lucina, is way more capable in terms of killing power. I don't know if that's like a bow thing or what it is, but yeah. Alright, so a bit of a location change, so the audio is going to sound a little bit different, but yeah, after this, I'm probably going to go try to build my defense for Dark Season. Hopefully I get to it, and I'm just not, talking about something that I'm eventually not going to do. But yeah, hopefully I get around to it, because like I said, I do want to find a way to fit Boulder in there and get the extra summoning circle in there. A lot of changes to be made to Dark Defense, and it has fallen off the one that I'm currently running. It is, getting countered at this point, so definitely needs some adjustments. Looks like I'm probably going to be replacing Ather. Or maybe Loki, I don't know. I'm still a little bit on the fence, but I'm leaning ever so slightly towards Ather, because Loki is so good, like really, really good in this particular meta that we're in, because there's so many bonuses just being thrown around, and you definitely need a way to deal with that. So I just can't see myself letting go of Loki, which means I'm gonna need to figure out some kind of way to get another armored unit in there. Who that armored unit is gonna be, I don't know. And what it means is that save is probably going to be back on the board in Dark Season, and I'm probably going to have to figure out a way to counteract that. Here we go with the pivot that I've been running on defense with Safety Fence Breaker. Unfortunately, it didn't come off very well in one of the plays that happened earlier, where she should have pivoted down but pivoted to the right instead, which meant that she could not get close enough to get the kill, which she would have done. The defensive AI is very finicky, very unpredictable, like I said earlier, in terms of what's going to happen. But yeah, we're able to get a win here. I don't know why he decided to sacrifice his unit, but maybe just wasn't able to kill anything. I don't know what happened there, but yeah, we take it. Another win there on defense, and I think got one more or so that I missed. Let's run this one as well, just so that you see everything that happened, I guess. Going through the full gambit, a lot of player face strategies, because Elm is so good, so you have way more player face strategies, and also, I mean, kind of hard to tank unless you're winning the speed check, like I said, so I guess they just really didn't have any other option. But for Dark Season, tanking is seeming like it's probably going to be back on the board, which means I'm going to need to beef up my offensive capabilities. I do want to try to rotate Erica off of the defense for Dark Season, just to get some more variety in there, because I feel like I'm just using the same 5-6 units all the time for offense and defense, and it's kind of boring. So yeah, I'm gonna see who I can incorporate. It's gonna take like a whole day to just figure out a defensive build. I might change the map, I might not, I don't know. A lot of variables, a lot of things to go over, but hopefully it will all come together with a smooth transition. A smooth, functional defense is what I'm hoping to achieve for Dark Season. I really should have built it last week just to test out, things that could potentially go wrong or right, but I was just, I don't know, otherwise occupied or uninspired, probably the first one. Otherwise occupied with another game, of course. But yeah, this was a really good attempt at hit and run on my defense. They did very well, but faltered at the last step. I'm really wondering if, but then also no. Elamine, I was thinking about, I was really wondering if she's a good pick to start bringing back, but then Freyr still exists, and we just got a mythic that kind of does the same thing that Freyr does in a limited capacity, but still very Freyr adjacent. So here we go, we snipe a kill with the positional play. Gotta love that swap. It works so well, and this was enough to get the win, they surrender after this, which is what you should do, really, because there's so many safe defense. There's so many ladders available, so just use them. No point in taking a score loss. But yeah, that's the defense. Gotta try to figure out Dark Season now. GG's. Hopefully this was inspiring, I guess.